Hey guys, welcome to a With Friends episode. Guess what? We've got Shane, my
Hello, guys.
incredible husband. He is here with us today, and we actually just celebrated our 10-year anniversary, 17 years together. So we are bringing you raw from my office, our 10-year anniversary special for you. We're talking all about communication, our relationship, and all the fun things. So let's get into it. Come unjuggle the struggle with me. We're working hard, spousing hard, parenting hard, and it all just seems too dang hard. If your dream is just making it to Friday, here's your sign. It doesn't have to be this way. Life's chaos can leave us endlessly driving or perhaps standing in front of the struggle bus. But what if we could change that? In these episodes, we'll tackle the madness head on, step off the hamster wheel once and for all, and choose to dream, explore, connect, and conquer all the things like a pro with less guilt, more time, lots of love, and purpose. I'm Brittney Talinci, your no BS friend. Tune in and transform the chaos into joy. It's time to unjuggle the struggle. Shane, thanks for
Yes,
being here, hon.
absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Also, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
This is a different kind of anniversary for us because this was actually one of the first times that we were technically apart for
That
our
is true.
anniversary. So that was a little different, being literally across country from each other.
Yes, and we had different plans 10 years ago.
We did.
You were going to get a bigger diamond. We were supposed to be in Barbados. We had lots of plans.
We did. I remember that, yeah, you on our honeymoon, we were like, okay, for our 10-year anniversary, we'll make sure we'll do kind of another 10-year anniversary trip. And that's not where life has us these days.
I was on single dad duty.
Oh my goodness. Everybody feel bad for Shane.
So bad.
Well, you and the children survived. I'm so proud of you. I knew you could. Also, there's like a bittersweetness there, or a not a bittersweetness, but a haha there. And it's out of
What
love.
was the haha?
Well, welcome to my life on shift day.
Oh, see what you did there.
You see what I did there? Oh, all right, honey. So 10 years, 17 years, however you want to look at it.
Or 23.
What do you mean 23?
We've been best friends for 23 years.
Oh yeah, we've known each other very well.
Yes.
Yeah. Man, 23 years, that's bonkers. I'm so lucky. I feel so lucky.
It has been.
Yeah. So what do you think? Okay, so obviously our friendship, I know that our long-standing friendship, I know one of the first things, especially like when I'm meeting new people and I'm telling them about our relationship, yes, our history alone is unique.
Absolutely.
Our friendship, and then that turning into a marriage. And I think that from my point of view, we still very much so carry that friendship in everything we do. I think that does.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's been foundational for our relationship.
Yes, for 23 years, we've wanted to be with each other.
Yeah, I do. I still like spending time with you.
It is fun. You are my best friend.
Oh, thanks, hon. You're my best friend too.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh, look at all this love stuff. Okay. All right. I mean that in the best, kindest way, of course. Sure. Okay, so let's talk about some real like meaty stuff, babe. So what do you think is kind of different about our relationship compared to what else we typically either hear about or see? And I feel weird even asking that question because I don't want to sit in this space of like comparison at all. And so I'm not setting you up for failure, like in that retrospect at all. I think that more so what I'm trying to just ask is for anybody listening, that's like, man, how the heck do you actually like make a relationship work that long? So maybe it's like what comes to mind for you is something that you just think maybe we do really well.
Because I completely agree in that statement, because I have not been focused on other relationships for such a long time, where this is my everything. So this is where I put my energy and my focus. So I like your idea of focusing on what we have, because I'm not downgrading any other relationship out there. This is ours, and we're very blessed to have what we have.
Thank you for reframing that for me.
Yes. And I think one thing that we do that's amazing is that we strive to be together. And that's not just in a relationship, that's on a Friday night, on a Saturday night. We want to be with each other. And when we go learn new things, like if I want to get into archery or improve my skills or dirt bike riding or stuff like that, we want to be together. And it's like, if I go learn, I want to transfer that knowledge to you. And then as a household, we can then train our kids and do it as a family.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's coming to mind, just for the sake of storytelling, is so Shane always had, well, I guess we had a group of friends that hunting was a really big part of their life. And it was something that both of us had an interest in, but it made more sense for you to go with the guys on a hunting trip. But then knowing that that was something I also had an interest in, and then something that you had experienced, you wanted to share that with me, not just from a, hey babe, I had a great weekend. But you wanted to like intimately share that with me, like bring me along with you. And then the next year I got to go and I got to cross off a bucket list item for myself, where I got to actually go hunting with you guys. And that was really, really cool.
It was. And you have amazing skills that you can see those deer.
That's
very
right.
well.
That's right. You guys needed me. You needed
you
me.
need extra eyes, yes.
Hey, wait a second. Fine. We all have our strengths. We'll leave that one there.
Perfect.
We'll leave that one. Anything else to expand on that? Or I think I kind of jumped in.
I think on that aspect, no. I think it's, in my mind, it's very black and white that I want you part of my life. I want to be part of your life. And I think that we have fun together. And I think that's a huge thing, because I would like, if we're going out and about, I want to have fun with the person I'm with.
Yeah.
And I've always had fun with you, and it's been a no-brainer. It's been, I don't want to say it's been easy, because we always have communication's a big thing. And I think kind of detouring, like if you don't communicate well, it's hard to hang out, and it's hard to have fun with somebody if you can't communicate. And so going down like the problem or the struggle side of it, it's like more recently that we talked about, it's like if you have a certain word or a certain phrase or a certain thing that you do or your spouse does that upsets you and vice versa, I think you have to be able to learn from your partner, learn from yourself, make those adaptations, or you need to adapt to work together as a team.
I see what you're doing here. You're getting into like what's something internally we struggle with.
I think that
what you're saying.
I'm trying to give us a pat on the back, saying that we work well together, even through differences.
Yeah. So like one of our differences, to kind of bring people along, is like what you were saying, that there are certain words, and they're different for each of us, that we've come to realize, not only for ourselves, but for the other person, that are trigger words. And it's like, oh man. So to one of us, like you mentioned something the other day. Oh, you mentioned something. So Shane had said something to the lines of like, I don't know, babe, I looked over and you were on your phone. You looked like you missed it. And for me, that was a massive trigger, because so much of the way that I choose to live, breathe, eat, sleep, everything I do is about being present. And I'm so intentional with that. And so it was such a trigger for me. And I immediately like jumped down your throat and didn't even give you an opportunity to, that wasn't what you meant.
No.
But I couldn't even hear what you meant, because the trigger had already been, like, the light had already been flipped. And we needed some time before we could go back to like, wait a second. What I heard was, and we did this technique, we learned this in counseling, what, eight years ago, maybe?
Yeah.
Just like, what are you hearing me say? Or what you hear me say?
Back what you heard, because that might not be what they said.
Yeah. And that happens. I think we go back to that almost even on a default. Like, it's not even something we think about, but when we are working through something from a communication standpoint, we go back to okay, wait a second. So what I'm hearing you say is that I missed a moment because I was too busy on the phone. And you ended up saying, you were like, no, that's not actually what I was trying to communicate.
Yeah, I was excited about something and I thought you missed it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was an opinion that came out as a statement, and it came out a lot stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think kind of going back to what you said about the whole counseling thing and learning new skills.
Yeah.
I think that that's one thing that we do very well, is that we learn and grow together, because we're not in the same relationship we were 23 years ago. We're not in the same relationship we were 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so with life continuing and throwing you different curveballs and different struggles and kids and just life in general, I think that you do have to learn new tools and apply them in your life with your partner
together.
Because if you're growing in one way and I'm growing in another,
that's a good thing.
But if you grow too far apart, you're no longer compatible.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because we still, one of the analogies that we still kind of live our life by is the just the strength of a bamboo stalk. That's what it's called, right?
Yes.
Where the strongest bamboo stalks are the ones that are intertwined with three. But that requires each like individual, again, not quite sure what they're called, but each individual stick.
Yes, to be strong individually, but you're strongest together.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, so you kind of hit on this twice even. So like learning new things, learning new skills, and doing it together.
Absolutely.
Something that's also coming to mind for me is just, and I did a webinar on this recently, and it really sat with folks. So I'd love to share it on this platform too. And it was just that the relationships that we want to continue to grow, like if we want a relationship to thrive, the currency in a relationship is time. And it's quality time. It doesn't necessarily mean that there has to be, or it doesn't, maybe where I would go with this instead, it's not, because now I'm thinking of like the 5 love languages where, quality time is one of those, in that where I could see someone even like, well, that's not all that's required. But it's like, in order to actually learn new skills together, you need time to do that. In order to actually, make sure that there's space to communicate, you need time for that. So whether that's time, time on the couch or time on the phone or whatever it is. I mean, there's still times you literally leave the house
and I call you.
Yeah, 5 minutes later we're on the phone as if like, no, I'm not done talking with you. I'm not done being with you. I want to communicate more with you. It's that time.
And one thing I like about the word currency is that it means current, which means flowing, which means moving. And I think of it as a river. And like Andrew Cordell said it great regarding money being currency, and you got to keep it moving. And I think you bring up a good point with time being currency in a relationship, because it has to keep moving. If you put a dam in the river and make a lake, the rest of the river dries up and all you have is the lake. You have no future movement, no future flow. So you got to keep it moving and you got to keep adapting, because I think that life doesn't stop when you're in a rut, and it doesn't stop when you're on top of the mountain. Like it's going to keep moving.
Yep. Oh, I love that. Nice job, babe. Okay, what else do we want to say? Let's see. Because I want to be, again, I think that there's a lot of really wonderful things about our relationship, but I think sometimes the rawness of the things that we struggle with, sometimes folks just need to hear a Me Too thing. So what do you think? I think I was going to finish the topic, but now look, let me just answer. No. Okay. So I'll answer, but then maybe you answer too. Okay. So what do you think is something like that you hear, as far as a common relationship struggle?
A common relationship struggle, or one of our relationship struggles that we've experienced?
Go ahead.
No. Let me ask you. What has been one of our relationship struggles, and how did you deal with it?
one of our relationship struggles and how did I deal with it? I don't want to repeat like the communication, but I do really like men are from Mars, women are from Venus, or however that is. Like men and women, they're just so different. So our
Just different.
communication is just so different. Something.
And it's okay to make communication important.
Yeah.
And if it's a common denominator in our relationship, that's okay to acknowledge.
Yeah. Something maybe for me that comes up like when I start getting frustrated maybe about something that you're doing, it's difficult. Like it does feel like a difficult pill to swallow, but I have to like as I start to feel the frustration coming up, I have to really ask myself where the frustration is coming from.
Mhm.
And is it really that, okay, he was just doing it his way and I'm frustrated that he wasn't doing it my way? Like
Which is very common.
it is very common. Yeah. And I know that's a two-way street on that one. Because we are so different.
We are.
So different. And so our brains don't communicate the same. Our brains don't work the same. They're not wired the same. It's also what makes us strong or like the strongest. But yeah, so when frustrations come out, I think that's something I still have to ask myself, okay, was the end result still accomplished? And sometimes how it was accomplished from A to Z maybe doesn't have to be so important.
That is true. There's 100 ways to do any task.
But at the end of the day, if like the family was still taken care of, if my needs were still met, if we still got things done and more chaos wasn't created along the way, but even that could be subjective. Like I think maybe more chaos was created along the way because you didn't do it my way. But I would say that's still something that just happens frequently for us because we're moving and grooving so fast too that we look up and you're like, oh my gosh, well, thanks for doing that. And then you're like, it's hard not to be like, but like sometimes you just got to stop. Thanks for doing that. Period. Swallow it and move on. Yes. I don't know what anything else comes up for you.
So your answer was the ability to deal with
that we do things. Yeah, that we do things different.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah.
And your solution is to have grace, to say thank you, see it a different way, and then proceed.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say move on because I feel like moving on has a bad connotation of forgetting about it and just moving on to the next step.
No, yeah, I agree. Because just like agree with that. Moving on kind of sounds like you sweep it underneath the rug and hope it doesn't come up again, but it always comes up again if you sweep something under the rug.
Yes.
Or even too, part of that communication thing again is like if I would have done it a different way, being able to share that with you in not a hey, what you did wasn't good enough way, but more of a brainstorming, hey, did you consider this as well?
Yeah.
But you have to do that in a really kind and intentional way. Otherwise, I think especially as partners, the first thing we hear, especially from the person who we love the most, is you didn't do it right or you didn't do it good enough. But I don't think those are ever the intentions. The intentions for us both, this goes both ways. The intentions for us both is I just want to help you consider all of your options and maybe in the ways that your brain doesn't work in this specific vein. Hey, what if you considered this? Would it actually make things easier for you? Or would it make things not better, but like it's just another way. Hey, I want to help you get better. Like an iron sharpens iron type of thing.
100%. And that makes me think of like a team where everyone has their role. And that if you switch roles, you'll still get the job done, but you're not going to be as efficient. And I think that in a relationship, just like in a team, because we are a team, that we need to utilize each other's strengths. Like there's certain skills that it's just easier for me to get done. and there's certain skills that you should just take care of. And if I try doing your skills or you try doing my skills, we'll get it done.
Wow, honey, I feel like you should get some examples because you just seem really confident about certain things.
I'm just like communication or talking. You're really good at it. You're really good about thinking through things and getting things done. It's easy for me to do the heavy lifting and get
literally
moving stuff and landscaping, stuff like that, stuff that I have done for a while. It's easy for me to get done. Yeah, we can do it together, and we can pick up when each other is sick or not feeling good or out of town for our anniversary. Like we just cover and get stuff done. So I do think that as a team, it's easy and it's more convenient to stay in our roles, and we know each other's strengths, and it's not like we can't do each other's strengths, but it's just when you know something's going to get done.
Yeah,
it's nice to rely on your partner too.
I'm glad you said that because, I'm thinking about, for instance, like getting home from the trip, and my suitcase is, I know I still need to unpack my suitcase, but like that would be something I know, like I have the confidence, or maybe like I rely on you, for instance, that you're more than willing, capable, able, and one of your strengths, you're going to carry my suitcase upstairs for me. That's not something that I like have to do. Is it something I'm capable of doing? Heck yes, obviously I can carry my suitcase. But I also think the way that I think both of us as partners, like I'm proud to show up in the ways that I know where my strengths are. Like the way I think that you don't feel like you have to carry my suitcase up. That's one way that you show love. You want to. And I think sometimes I think the word like expectations, I think in relationships, sometimes expectations start settling into and taking over the appreciation for someone's strengths.
100%. I can see exactly where you're going with that.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also think that like being able as a partner, being able to accept, and your person, they want to know that you need them.
Yes.
That's a good feeling. Like they want to, and even it's just that small little like, oh, she needs me to carry her suitcase. Again, you darn well know I don't, but how nice it is. So maybe where I'm going with this one is my brain is like, it's just the question of, hey, it's being able to anticipate their needs a little bit. And
let's backtrack to the common denominator. Let's talk about communication. It's like if I don't tell you what I need, you're going to give me what you think I need, and vice versa. And I think that, for example, I think that you just want a picked up house every day, so I pick it up. But then I didn't clean the baseboards or clean the bathroom or stuff like that. And so I do what I think you need. And all you ask for is, hey, can I just get a nice bouquet of flowers every now and then? But I'm like, but then I'm buying you stuff that die. And it's like, that comes down to guys versus girls. What you want. And you have to come up and tell me sometimes black and white, I need blank.
And I hear, but for also too, like I hear a lot of women that'll be like, I'm not going to ask for flowers. He should just know. Or if he wants to treat me with flowers, he would just do it. And when those type of comments are made, I'm not saying that I disagree wholeheartedly. There is a piece of me, there's maybe 10% of me that agrees with that, we want to be pursued. We want a little bit of like, hey, I'm going to put her first in my brain. What would she want? Like we want some of that, but I also think just about how much more joyous it is to just outwardly communicate, hey, this would be really nice. And then to some degree, I feel like it sets you up for success. And I know you offer those same things from my coming my way too. You tell me what you need
Absolutely.
from me, so that I actually have a chance to show up for you in that capacity.
And I think in that same regard, and I think I might make you blush in this statement, but it's like you think, oh, guys just want to give me flowers. And as a guy, you're like, well, my wife, I would just like her to deliver a nice whiskey 7 in lingerie. Like, that's my expectation of you. You want flowers? I want a nice drink and you in lingerie. Be perfect. So it does come down to communication, because what you think we want to give you, it might be different than expectations.
Yeah. And then just to make it more fun, right? A lot of times it changes.
It does.
You're like, this year I want flowers, but next year, like, don't even think about it. Like, yes. I mean, so it's like constantly making time for it. Something that we were doing too, and we go in and out of these seasons with our power hours. So yes. Our power hours, sometimes when we're really diligent about it, it's at least an hour that we spend on a weekly basis, no kids, no distractions. And we just sit there and we're looking through our calendar. We're anticipating each other's needs. We're communicating needs. If the family needs something, what's really best for the family, our goals. We're talking even too about like bigger dreams. Like we spend that hour to dream together, which again sets us up for the long-term path. But and we don't always do it. I don't want anybody sitting here thinking that we 52 weeks a year, or whatever, that we sit and have a power hour. But no. Those power hours, we know in the seasons of our lives when we've stuck to those power hours, it's gold, because it's us creating that intentional time together.
And a power hour doesn't have to be a formal setting. I think one thing that I miss too, and I think with growing as a family, you have kids getting older with more responsibilities. You have football, you have gymnastics, you have taekwondo, you have all these places you need to get you and your family to. One thing that I do miss is just a simple date night. And when we were younger, it was more frequent. It was easy. You could just, hey, it's Tequila Tuesday. Let's go out. Let's go to Mexican place and get some margaritas and nachos and just talk. And I remember that when we would go, it would be 3 hours of just download, and you're like, we're still on appetizers. And I think that that's always a good release of internal buildup.
Yeah.
So I always value when we're able to go do those.
Same. Tequila Tuesday. I know. It's so fun. All right. What else, hon? Anything else you want to bring forth?
I'll ask you another question.
Yeah.
I think that.
Oh my gosh, you want to ask me a question?
Just Tequila Tuesday and all the good things that comes to mind, and all our fun date nights and stuff like that. Yeah. What has been your favorite memory over the last 10 or 17 or 23 years?
Oh my gosh. Look, like my eyes actually started tearing up. Stop it. Shane, there is no way in heck I could possibly choose one memory. I just think about how many times, like the ones that are flooding through my brain right now, trying to answer these questions. I just think about how many times you showed up for me. Whether I thought you were going to be there, didn't think you were going to be there, expected you to be there, whatever it was. I just think about how many times like you just totally showed up for me, and baby, you just do it even, so frequently, most of the time on a daily basis, whether even the things like when you bring me coffee, like you're showing up for me. You're showing up for me to set me up for a good day. So I know that doesn't answer your question at all. And I'm like trying to think about, I just think about what you had posted an Instagram post out there that had, I don't even know, how many pictures was that? Do you know?
My last one?
Yeah.
I think 34.
Oh my.
No. Sorry. Double that.
Yeah.
It was 68.
Yeah. Thank you. That's what I thought. It was like, there were so many pictures, and you're just like, your life literally flashes before your eyes. Yeah. And I think about, when you proposed, I think about my reaction when we found out we were pregnant. I think about I think about losing people. Right now, October is actually a season of grief for me. It's the anniversary of when I lost my gram, and just that relationship, and all of the ways that you just show up for me. I'm just so grateful. Oh my gosh, I'm a blubbering mess. Dang you, Shane. Dang you. Okay, but question goes back on you.
You are true.
Since you asked, now you have to answer.
All right. I'll try to say this without crying as well.
Stop. Oh, whatever. That doesn't make me feel better.
So I think being together has been my favorite memory. And I think that being such a power team, at least I feel like we're a power team. I think that it goes from like our honeymoon 10 years ago when we were in St. Lucia. I think that that's one of my favorite, where it was just like free as can be. Honeymoon phase, your puppy love is, and you have to think that's
fun.
That's 8 years after being together. I know it took me a long time to ask you to marry me.
No,
but
perfect timing, babe. You do you, boo.
it was so nice to just be free and fun, and like I've told you, and the marriage, the wedding was just a celebration. It was not a start of our relationship. I can't lose the time that we had before our wedding. So I think we've been together a long time, and going through those 68 pictures was just like, every single time the picture came up, it was like us smiling and us close together. And it was just us enjoying life together. And that's hosting a fun party with all of our friends and having a welcome, safe place for everyone to have fun, or just me and you on an island. I think that just being together, there's so many memories. I'm with you. I can't just pick one.
Oh, boo. Okay, but you did say something, so I'm not trying to corner you here, but I want to know. Okay, so you mentioned the word like feeling free. And I think that's like that's key, because and this is what I talk about in like my keynotes, that it's one responsibility after another, after another, which tends to put people on this hamster wheel and in the cycle of burnout. I think that burnout relationships, burnout in marriage, burnout as parent, it's like that's all real stuff. So how do you, well, I guess twofold here. Do you still feel like that sense of freedom today? And if not, I would be curious just if you'd expand on that.
Okay.
And if you do, or if you do feel the sense of freedom, like where does that happen for you? Like in what moments do you have that sense of freedom still?
Okay.
Because we got a lot going on.
Yeah. And for those of you that don't know, I really do like analogies. So I'll go to like a burnout of a car before a drag race.
Yeah.
And I think a burnout does two things. It warms up the tires to be as fast as possible going down the road. On the flip side, you have the back tires fighting the front tires. And I think that a burnout can cause frustration if you have one partner that is working over and over and over to try to have a happy marriage, but you have another person that's distracted doing their own thing. You guys are in internal conflict, and one party may not even know it.
Yeah.
And so I think that, to answer your question, to be free, I feel free because we are warmed up and going down the road together. I feel like we both put in the effort. We both try daily. We're both bringing each other coffee. We're both bringing each other flowers. We're both doing things that we try to not only fulfill our own personal cup for being a working member of this relationship and family, but we also appreciate the other person for doing that as well. So being free, I guess I'll say it. Kids eliminate a little bit of that freedom because I have to take the kids to school. And it's not me, it's us. We have to take the kids to school. Then we have to pick up one from part-time school because she's not old enough to go to full-time. And then we have to go back again. So we're in the carpool line 3 times a day. Then we have to go to sports. So there is a freedom that is not the same as it was 10 years ago.
Yes.
And our relationship has moved. and it is different than it was before, but a sense of freedom and appreciation for God's blessings and what we have grown together and built together. I would say that we're still have that sense of freedom and happiness.
And that comes from I want to make sure I heard you right. That comes, see, look, we do that even without conflict, like what you're saying, right? I want to make sure I heard you right. Is that freedom for you still comes in the way that you are giving as an active member of the relationship, and in the ways that you receive as from me as the other active member in the relationship. Is that
absolutely? It has,
like
it
that's
has
where
to
the
be a
freedom
balance.
comes from?
It has to be a balance, because if you're constantly giving and you're not receiving,
that's
you're
exhausting.
the one that's going to get burned out.
Yeah.
And the other person's gonna be like, this is great. Like, I get everything.
I love life.
Life is easy. Like, sometimes maybe when it's too easy, sometimes you have to slow down and repent and see why your life is so easy.
And is it at the expense of your other person, your person?
Yep.
Because then your other person can only last so long before they end up like throwing up their hands. And I think that happens a lot. Like you'll hear males tend to be like, I thought we were happy. I thought we were happy. I had no idea. But what had happened was typically the woman in the relationship had carried so much that she burnt out and then had nothing else.
And I think every relationship is different. I don't know if it's the guy or the girl. I'm just saying if life is super easy or super hard on the two extremes, maybe it's time to repent and have that conversation.
That's a good point.
And and the hardest part is asking for help. And that can be from your partner. That can be from your best friend that knows you both well. That can be from
church. That could be from
anything.
Counseling.
Yeah.
But getting that help is so important, just to, again, create some middle ground so that you can, from this day forward, learn
and grow.
Yeah. Love it. All right. So, babe, how would you summarize kind of this episode? Just the key takeaways for folks. I always like to just give a review at the end. What would be our key point here?
Number one, communication
is key.
And I think that you have to continue to grow and communicate
together.
The conversation you had last week is not going to be the same conversation you have today, and it's not going to be the same conversation you have next week. Once you start assuming and expecting, I think you lose a sense of communication. And so find a way that you can communicate best, and do something together, whether it's a power hour, a happy hour, a date night. I think that finding a way to communicate and interact, like connect is the best thing. And appreciate the little things, and
and I think it's healthy. Maybe like where we spent a lot of time in this episode was actually kind of going down memory lane.
Absolutely.
And I think it's healthy to reflect on those joyous moments, because then I think, again, that creates a natural sense of gratitude for everything we've been through. And it just, again, shows the level of the foundation and the growth within the relationship. And that's something to be proud of and look forward to.
Yeah. And that's one thing that we didn't talk about that I'll just kind of throw in there. You brought up the word foundation.
Yeah. What?
And I think once you have a solid foundation, whether it takes 7 years before your husband or your fiance asks you to marry him or not, like building that solid foundation, then the sky is the limit. And so I think that it's good to look back to see where you've come from. But if you're constantly looking forward and trying to outrun your foundation, you might have a little more struggles.
Even right now, I'm constantly building on the foundation. Like right now, we're in a season of, I'll say it, we are absolutely in a season of like expansion and leveling up our life. And it is 1000% requiring us to go back to some of those foundational elements and to build on them, and to like really make sure that they are solid and that they are grounded in the right truths, so that we can catapult into our next season.
Yeah, you got to build it on stone and not sand.
Amen. All right, I love you. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. Talk to you next week. Bye. Hey, guys. Real quick before you go, I've got some exciting news. Inspired by the Unjuggle the Struggle podcast, we have officially released the Unjuggle the Burnout Struggle coaching program. So this is a 12-week transformative program, and it is made for the person who is feeling stuck or who is sick and tired of asking themselves, there's got to be more to life than just wake up, eat, work, sleep, repeat. So if you have ever had that thought, I just want to encourage and invite you in to complete the inquiry form for at least a 30-minute conversation to see how coaching just might be the thing you never knew you needed to transform your life. And I'd be honored to be the coach in your corner with you. So check out the website for more information, and I'll see you again next week. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. It means the world to me that you're here to ride in the struggle bus with me and that you're willing to consider different perspectives, tools, and techniques that just might provide a little bit of relief and get you one step closer to the abundance that is available and waiting for us all. I hope you take a moment to grant yourself some grace where you've been denying it, some love where you didn't realize maybe it was right in front of you, and some faith where you thought all was lost. If this episode had an impact on you, would you please share a comment with a review? I'd love to hear what landed for you, and it helps us get the word out to our fellow struggle bus riders. So please review what was impactful for you. Just know these episodes are a pure labor of love in a space where I'm growing alongside you. I'm evolving every day, and I look forward to all the ways and the things and the perspectives and opinions and choices that will change over the course of time in my own life, day to day. Until next time, just know that you are loved, you are divinely cared for, and in the struggle, the journey of this life really is beautiful. I'm glad that we're in it together. Cheers.